The human body is an incredible machine. It can survive weeks without food, days without water, and can endure extreme temperatures that would seem impossible on paper. We are built to survive, and yet, every year, hundreds of people lose their lives in situations that were completely survivable. They aren't killed by lions or lightning or falling off cliffs. They are killed by something much more subtle, much more internal. They're killed by a single, fundamental mistake that bypasses all their gear, all their training, and all their logic. If you find yourself lost, stranded, or facing a sudden disaster, your survival doesn't depend on your knife or your fire starter. It depends on whether or not you commit the one mistake that turns a manageable crisis into a fatal tragedy. Today, we are going to talk about the fatal flaw of the human mind and how to make sure it doesn't happen to you. The mistake is simple to name but incredibly difficult to control: the failure to accept reality. In survival psychology, this is known as the incredulity response, or denial phase. When a disaster happens, the brain doesn't immediately jump into survival mode. Instead, it tries to convince you that everything is fine. You're driving through a snowstorm and your car slides off the road into a ditch. Your brain says, "It's okay, I'll just wait a minute and someone will pass by." 2 hours later, the car is buried, the heater is off, and you're still sitting there, waiting for a savior that isn't coming. This period of frozen time is where most people die. They waste the most critical window of opportunity, the first hour, denying that they are actually in danger. They stay in the normalcy bias, thinking that the world will return to normal on its own. But the mistake goes deeper than just denial. Once the denial breaks, it's usually replaced by its equally deadly cousin, unregulated hyperactivity. This is the panic sprint. Imagine someone gets lost in the woods. When they finally realize they don't know where they are, their heart rate spikes to 150 beats per minute. Their lizard brain takes over and they start running. They aren't running toward anything. They are just running away from the feeling of being lost. This is the mistake. They burn through their calories, they sweat through their clothes, leading to hypothermia later, and they move further and further away from their last known location, making it impossible for search and rescue to find them. They die of exhaustion and exposure, not because the forest was dangerous, but because they let their panic drive their legs. To avoid this, you must master the skill of deliberate calm. The moment you realize things are going wrong, you have to do the most counterintuitive thing possible: sit down. In the survival world, we call this the S.T.O.P rule. S is for sit down. Physical movement feeds panic. By sitting, you force your heart rate to drop and your logical brain to come back online. T is for think. Ask yourself, what is the immediate threat? Not the threat 5 hours from now, but right now. O is for observe. Look at your surroundings. What tools do you have? What is the weather doing? P is for plan. Only after you have calmed down and observed can you make a plan. Most people die because they skip S, T, and O and jump straight to a panicked R, react. Another fatal branch of this mistake is the equipment trap. This is the belief that your gear will save you. We see it all the time with hikers who have the most expensive GPS, the best boots, and the fanciest jackets. They feel invincible. Because of this gear confidence, they take risks they shouldn't. They head out into a storm because their jacket is waterproof. They go off trail because they have a GPS. But technology fails. Batteries die in the cold. Signals drop in the canyons. When the gear fails, the person who relied on it collapses mentally. They haven't practiced the basic skills because they let the equipment do the thinking for them. The mistake here is forgetting that you are the tool. The gear is just an accessory. If you don't know how to navigate with the sun or stay warm with nothing but leaves and trash, you are at the mercy of a battery. We also have to talk about the hydration paradox. This is a specific physical mistake that kills people in deserts and dry environments. Search and rescue teams often find deceased individuals with full canteens of water still on them. Why? Because they were saving the water for later. They were so afraid of running out that they let their bodies dehydrate to the point of heat stroke and cognitive collapse.
By the time they decided to drink, their organs were already failing and they were too disoriented to open the bottle. The rule of survival is drink your water, don't save it. Your body is a better storage container than a plastic bottle. If you are thirsty, your blood is thickening and your brain is slowing down. Keep your engine hydrated so you can make the smart decisions that will lead you to more water. The final layer of this mistake is social pressure. It sounds crazy, but people often die because they are embarrassed to be that person. They don't want to call for help because they don't want to bother the emergency services. They don't want to turn back from a dangerous hike because they don't want to look weak in front of their friends. This pride trap kills more people than you would imagine. They push through the pain, push through the warning signs, and ignore their gut instinct just to save face. In survival, there is no room for ego. The most elite special forces operators are the first to admit when a situation is turning bad. They know that turning back isn't a defeat, it's a tactical repositioning. In the end, survival is 90% mental. The people who survive aren't always the strongest or the most prepared. They're the ones who can look at a terrifying situation and say, okay, this is bad. I am lost, I am cold, and no one is coming to save me right now. What is the very next thing I need to do to stay alive for one more hour? They don't look at the mountain, they look at the next step. They don't panic, they adapt. The mistake that kills is the refusal to change your mind when the world changes around you. Don't fall for the denial. Don't run from the fear. Sit down, breathe, and accept your new reality. Because the moment you accept that you are in a survival situation is the moment you actually start surviving. Stay smart, stay calm, and keep your ego out of the woods.